From San Francisco, here is the Morning News with Bob Dunn.
The town of Vinh Linh, just inside the border of North Vietnam, was struck today by U.S. and South Vietnamese planes. One South Vietnamese plane was lost, however, the pilot parachuted safely, and the Soviet news agency TASS claims that 3 U.S. planes were lost. Today's target area was 75 miles south of Dong Hoi, where American planes struck yesterday in retaliation for the communist attack on the American base at Pleiku on Saturday. During a Washington news conference, Defense Secretary Robert McNamara described yesterday's raid.
U.S. aircraft took off from 3 U.S. carriers that were steaming in the South China Sea. These carriers are steaming south of the 17th parallel, which is the line of demarcation between North and South Vietnam, about 100 miles off the coast of South Vietnam. The 3 carriers were the U.S. Ranger, U.S. Hancock, and Coral Sea. Of the aircraft which took off from the carriers, 49 struck the Dong Hoi barracks and staging area in the southern part of North Vietnam. Certain other U.S. aircraft and certain South Vietnamese aircraft aborted because of adverse weather conditions and did not proceed to their target areas. Photo reconnaissance of the results of the strike is not yet available, but the combat crews, upon their return to the carriers, reported seeing heavy fires, heavy smoke, and substantial damage to military targets in the target area. 1 U.S. aircraft, an A-4 from the carrier Coral Sea, was lost. The pilot was seen to eject into the sea. Air-sea rescue operations are underway. All other aircraft returned safely to their bases.
The first of more than 1,800 U.S. dependents ordered out of Vietnam will leave later today by commercial airliner, and others will follow for a period of about 15 days. Some of the dependents are expected to arrive at Travis Air Force Base just north of San Francisco. 8 Americans were killed in the communist guerrilla attack, which touched off the current crisis, and the cleanup at that base is now underway. ABC's Bob Young has a report.
Cleanup after disaster began today at the Air Force Base at Pleiku, Camp Holloway. An inspection team checked the debris to recover usable parts from the remains of the burned and twisted helicopters. In addition to the 8 Americans who lost their lives, more than 100 were wounded, and many have been evacuated from South Vietnam to military hospitals elsewhere. The Pleiku attack was the worst inflicted on the United States forces in the Vietnamese War, and only 1 Viet Cong guerrilla is known to have been killed. 6 of our helicopters were destroyed, 10 more badly damaged. 1 Caribou transport plane was also nearly destroyed, 3 other observation aircraft slightly damaged. An alert sentry in the barracks area is credited with keeping the casualty toll low in the midst of the fierce mortar attack. He heard the Viet Cong laying explosive charges against doors and windows. He gave the alarm, and he opened fire. Then he was killed himself by the guerrillas.
Special Presidential Advisor McGeorge Bundy returned to Washington late last night from Saigon and went immediately to report to President Johnson. This morning, Bundy reported on his findings to a meeting of the National Security Council attended by the President and leaders of both parties. After this morning's meeting, President Johnson said the U.S. will answer any threat, pay any price to make sure that freedom does not perish. And he warned against any miscalculation of America's strength. Top GOP leaders were consulted before yesterday's retaliatory strike, and Senate Minority Leader Everett Dirksen of Illinois was asked on ABC's Issues and Answers if he agreed with the decision to launch the attack.
Yes, I think I do, knowing all the facts. First, it must be remembered that there was a holiday in Vietnam, and in Viet Minh also, meaning the northern half of that area. And when the holiday was over, and in the light of the fact that the new Soviet leader, Mr. Kosygin, was out there came this attack. It was a complete surprise, of course. It was not anticipated, although I suppose they're prepared, generally speaking, for whatever attacks may come, knowing that it's guerrilla warfare and that they strike without any advance notice. And in response to it, something had to be done, and action was taken.
Russia warned this morning that U.S. attacks on North Vietnam could have the most serious consequences, and Izvestia called the raids a gross act of aggression. Meanwhile, American anti-aircraft missiles are now on their way to Vietnam. I'll be back with that story after this message.
Hello, I'm Larry Ballantyne of Holiday Chevrolet. Our business is growing every year. We are doing more service business, selling more of our OK used cars, and selling more new Chevrolets. People are finding out that Holiday Chevrolet is a good place to do business, and they are telling their friends about us. We have plenty of new Chevrolets on hand right now for you to choose from. There are Impalas, Chevy 2s, Chevelles, and Corvairs in a wide variety of colors and body styles. So you'll probably find the exact car you want at Holiday without any waiting or delay. Our used car selection is excellent, too. We know that most buyers are after the best trade, the best terms, and the financing arrangements that suit them. We know, too, that you expect the best service both before and after you take delivery. If all these things are important to you, all you have to remember is Holiday Chevrolet, 17th, 18th, and 19th Avenues on Tarryville Street in San Francisco.
An American battalion armed with Hawk anti-aircraft missiles has been ordered to the area of Da Nang, a major U.S. air base for fighters. ABC's Bob Young has a report on the deadly ground-to-air missile.
These Hawk missiles, filmed in South Korea, act like homing pigeons. A Hawk unit contains 18 to 24 missile launchers and 500 to 600 men. When radar detects the approach of an enemy plane, the missiles swivel to face them. With a horizontal range of 20 miles, the Hawk is designed primarily for use against low-flying planes. But the Hawk can also shoot down bombers up to 60,000 feet and was deployed along the Florida coast during the Cuban crisis. Carrying a high-explosive warhead, the missile rises high in the air, then swoops down for the kill.
In other news, astronauts Gordon Cooper and Charles Conrad have been picked for the primary crew for America's third and most energetic Gemini space effort that's expected in April. A fight against desegregation has apparently come to an end in Atlanta, Georgia, with a staunch segregationist closing his restaurant rather than serve Negroes. ABC's Peter Jennings reports.
The die has been cast, Bob. Lester Maddox, early this morning, told me that this story was not yet finished, and indeed he did have one more card up his sleeve. At about 1:15 this afternoon, a lone Negro came down and tried to enter the Lester Maddox cafeteria. He entered. He came out about 30 seconds later. Lester Maddox was right behind him.
Go ahead. I'm out the way. Door's open. Get on through.
Don't hit me, boy.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you swung your arm around. Hit me. Try it again.
Oh,
Bad.
That's what they wanted. You don't ruin a man's business. I didn't ruin his business. He ruined it already. I want to get something to eat. Okay, going back. I'm going. Let the other people in. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. What's up, Chuck?
Mr. Maddox then posted a sign on his door which said, "This restaurant is closed, out of business forever." That was the final coup de grace by Mr. Maddox to overcome the federal authorities and any hope that his restaurant would ever be integrated. This is Peter Jennings outside the now closed Lester Maddox cafeteria in Atlanta.
Mary Tom, a 17-year-old high school girl from Jamaica, New York, was named Miss Chinatown, USA in San Francisco's Chinatown late yesterday. Miss Tom, who is flanked here by the second and third place winners, will be crowned this week during the Chinese New Year celebration. And I'll be back with the Bay Region weather forecast after this minute.